All right, guys, episode 2 of Paper Trails with yours truly, Nick K, coming at you guys back on the road, and figured I would give you guys numero dos as far as our podcast is concerned. So if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, hope you guys enjoyed the first one and just talked a little bit about how we started the company. And so I think this one I'd love to just do a little bit more of a deep dive into maybe some different aspects of the business, and maybe some funny stories about us throughout the years building the business. And I don't know, we'll see where it goes. But so anyway, I actually had a question sent in, which by the way, if you guys have any questions for us, about a small business, how to get it up and going or anything like that, just shoot us an email, or reach out to us on Facebook or Instagram. We'll reply to you. But if you guys have any questions, just let us know. We'd love to interact and start learning from one another, and trying to help any way we can. But so one of the questions that was asked was if I could go back, or if we could go back and redo everything, how would we change everything, and what would I change? And it's a great question. I think the only thing that I would change, which I mean, there's pluses and minuses to it, but the one thing that we didn't have when John and I started the business is that we didn't have any experience. I was 22, my cousin John was 18 years old, and we had no prior experience in distribution and sales and purchasing, in logistics, in software, in anything. And I was fresh out of college. My cousin was fresh out of high school. And so we just were hungry, and we were just ambitious, and we were just ready to kind of take ground and make something of ourselves. And anyway, and so I guess if I maybe could go back and do it again, I know that we would have grown faster if I would have had some experience already in working with the paper company or the industry as a whole. And so maybe I would have gone and worked for somebody first and learned a little bit about the business and learn how the ins and outs of the industry first. But then again, I mean, we learned so much with just making a lot of mistakes. The opposite of success, a lot of times people think, is failure. And the reality, it's not failure, it's quitting. Quitting is the opposite of success, because you will fail and you will have hurdles and stumbling blocks, along the way. I mean, it's part of the beast. It's part of building your baby, building this little, this project that you're working on called your business. And so, I guess it's kind of twofold. I would like to have gone back and, maybe work for a paper company first and got an idea of what was happening. But on the same token, we learned so much from a lot of these mistakes that we made. Nobody taught me how to do sales, outside sales. I had to learn myself. I had to learn the discipline of that, the discipline of keeping a pipeline, the discipline of following up, how to take no's, how to take people giving me the stiff arm. I mean, it just, it wasn't the easiest, but, it definitely has helped me now 11 years later, where I'm really not intimidated by any meeting that I do or anybody I walk into, because I know I can hold my own, and I know what I'm offering, and I know the products that we have are quality, and I know that we can deliver on service as well. And so I'm very confident in my staff and all the employees. And so anyway, I think that's a question that I get a lot is, if you can go back and redo it, what would you do different? And I guess it's that catch-22. So, but anyway, so that was something cool that we had a question sent in. Another thing a lot of people have asked me recently, about a month ago, I went and visited my family in Greece. Most of our families back home, it's my dad and his two brothers, my dad, my cousin John's family, and then my other uncle are the ones that are over here, and then my dad's sisters, my mom's family is back home in Greece. And so had a chance. I hadn't been back in 4 years, and so I had a chance for a couple of weeks to go back. And people always ask about, how was your trip? All my customers always ask, and they wanted little gifts. Everybody wants something, and so I tried my best to grab a little magnet or a little postcard to give to everybody. So that was a lot of fun, But I think that kind of maybe goes along with maybe just maybe some of the perks after some years, of building your business. You can, once you have the right people in place, you can step away for a couple of weeks, and it's not the end of the world. You know what I mean? You have the right people that can manage and take care of all the clients, and so. But it was a lot of fun. Had a chance to visit all my family and spend time with them, aunts, uncles, grandparents. So that was a lot of fun. Definitely a place you guys got to visit. If it's not on your bucket list, put it on your bucket list. It's a lot of fun. Traveling, and traveling is a big hot button for myself. I can't wait to do more and more of that, and just see other parts of the world. There's so much out there to see, and so I think finding a way to prioritize and budget and be able to accomplish some of these bucket list items is really cool. And so that's cool. I've had a lot of people ask about that. The trip was amazing. Had a blast. Shout out to all the staff at APS for holding the fort down while I was gone. Definitely could have done it without them. And so which actually is a pretty vital point, I would say, to business. Having the right people around you that can fill in the gaps is an important thing, to having a successful company. I think you always want to surround yourself with the right people. You want to find things. You want to find employees and staff that are really good at things that you're not good at. I'm not intimidated by the fact that I'm not very good at a lot of things. So that's totally fine. But you got to find someone that is good at that stuff, right? Like, I'm not a very detailed person. That isn't my forte. But that's why I got to find the right people that are detailed and can help me with that piece of the business.
Since you talked about your employees a little bit, like,
okay.
What was the process like? Obviously, starting off a business, you're starting off pretty much by yourself most of the time.
It was, yeah.
But then when you get to a point transitioning where you can hire employees, like, what was that transition like? And
yeah, it was, it was a little nerve-wracking at first, not knowing how to interview people, no experience in that, no experience in knowing what to look for, what questions to ask, even as basic as that stuff is. When you're fresh out of college, college didn't teach me how to own a business, so I didn't have that to kind of lean in on. But it's a lot of trial and error. It's try, fail, and adjust. Try, fail, and adjust. You try something, that didn't work. Okay, how can I present this position or this job or this title in a way that somebody would be interested? I think just, even letting the people that we're interviewing and bringing on board, letting them know kind of a vision of where we see this company going, I think is important. And so a lot of that I just learned, we just learned through just doing it. And, we hired a lot of great people. We hired some people that, moved on to other jobs, to other careers. But, it's something that, I think you try your best to get to know somebody and, just to find out if their values line up with our values, and, going the extra mile and having that work ethic and delivering for the customer no matter what, creating that positive experience, with anybody that deals with APS. That's obviously the goal. But it was different. It was a little nerve-wracking, knowing that we have somebody that we're paying, and they're paying their bills from the money that we're doing. We're working, and even now I think we have maybe 17 employees, including obviously John and I. And I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool that we've grown this little project, this little baby, this business, to a point where we can now have 17 people pay their bills with this thing that we've grown. I think it's a pretty cool thing, and it's exciting, and it's we'll see where it goes. We'll see how big we can get it. So
Well, do you have any like funny stories that you have along the way?
Yeah, I have a couple stories. I was trying to think of, maybe some stories that I can tell you guys. I'll give you guys 2 stories real quick, and we'll call it a wrap for episode 2. But one of them was really early on, and hopefully I'll find a picture of this, and maybe we can post it on the video. But in the first warehouse that we were at, it was a very small. It was a little 5,000 square foot warehouse. I think I mentioned it in the first podcast. But just a shell of a building, no bathroom, no nothing, just a shell. And then after that first winter, where we realized warehouses get really cold, we built a little office. And so we actually also, if you guys may not know this, but we also have, then and even now, a better version now of a little retail store. We have a little store at our warehouse at headquarters. Albemarle Paper, we're located at 735 Henson Street, right there in Albemarle, and we have like a nice retail store now where you can come in and churches come in and buy their to-go boxes and their silverware for fundraisers and stuff like that, or people are raising money for anything, but a lot of people come in for different reasons, and they buy their products. Well, the way that even started actually was we had an Albemarle Paper sign that we had on the building, and somebody just saw it and pulled up and said, hey, can anybody, and at the time we were just a wholesale company, we were just selling to restaurants, and this lady came in and said, hey, I'm with so-and-so church, and could I buy some like to-go boxes or some table covers or something like that? And the salesperson that I am, I'm like, yeah, absolutely, come on in, like whatever you need, we'll take care of you. And so then John and I were like, wow, we can actually make a little showroom and display some products, some cleaning products, some wedding supplies, some plates, some things for family reunions, aluminum pans, things like that. We could start selling some of these things. And so anyway, long story short, the story goes, I was kind of in the back of the warehouse, and at this point we had bought some like racks, like a racking system to start using the height of the warehouse to, because we were getting more and more products in, a lot of different paper towels and toilet paper and, things of that sort. And I was in the back, and I don't remember what, I was moving something. I needed my cousin John. And, the warehouse wasn't that big. And so, you could yell at somebody and, they could hear you. It wasn't big. But I remember yelling for him, and I was like, John, like, come back here. I need your help. And so I'm waiting a little bit. I'm finagling some stuff, moving some cases, some boxes. I don't remember exactly what I was doing. But he didn't come. And I was like, man, where's he at? So I thought maybe he was in the office. Maybe he couldn't hear me. So now I'm yelling a little louder, John, where are you at? Like my voice is, has definitely increased in volume. And, sense of urgency in my tone has increased. And so, sorry about that. Customer call. I'll call you right back. But anyway, long story short, I call him the second time, increased volume, nothing. And so the third time, I'm yelling, John, where are, like, I'm literally yelling. And he comes from around the corner and he looks at me and he's like, I'm with a customer. What do you want? I was so embarrassed. We had a customer and our showroom was right there in front of the office. Hopefully you'll see it in the picture, but it was the funniest thing to this day. We laughed so hard at how loud I was yelling. Who knows what the customer was thinking? Like, who is this guy yelling from at the end of the warehouse? So I think that was a pretty cool story. Just funny times along the ways, and throughout any journey that you have, you'll always have stories to tell, whether it's a sports career, or whether it's a business you start, or anything that you work on, there'll be a journey and there'll be plenty of stories to talk about it. And the other one, I think that's pretty funny is, I think it was 2014. We had outgrown the warehouse we were at. We were looking for another location, another warehouse, and we found one just a couple miles down the road. and it was a 25,000 square foot warehouse, and so it was 5 times the size. It had offices, it had bathrooms. I mean, it had the setup. It came with 11 acres. I mean, it was the setup. It was perfect. And so we ended up purchasing it, and then we had an employee that we had sent over to the new warehouse to start cleaning it, to start getting things ready, prepped, so we can, make the transition over to the new location. And I remember sending, the employee over there, and he was, I told him to start kind of, spraying some water. I mean, the building had been empty for about 8 years, and so I needed some cleaning, and spider webs everywhere, and, you can imagine a warehouse closed for 8 years. And so, he turned the lights on, and there was a hose on the wall, bright red hose, up against kind of one of the bay doors in the back of the building. And he was just using that hose he's like, perfect. This is a long hose. It's all wrapped up. I'll just use this to start, kind of hosing down some of the dirt and some of the debris, and we'll start getting, and none of us were there. He was there by himself, kind of getting some stuff cleaned up. And so, as he was telling us the story, he undid the hose, he pulled it, and a bunch of water started coming out, and it was like, man, this is perfect. He was spraying water everywhere, and next thing you know, some alarms started sounding. The alarms went off, and he didn't know what was going on. He got scared, didn't know what to do, so he bolted. He left the new warehouse. He was running a couple of miles back to our old facility. Come to find out, the hose that he pulled was an emergency fire hose. So just in case of a fire, there was a backup of water that would actually be used in case there was a fire. And as soon as the water got triggered and started coming out, the fire department was alerted. The fire alarms went off. Fire trucks came, cops came, everybody started coming, and they came to an empty building. And so anyway, long story short, they got in contact with us. They knew we were the new owners, and so we were laughing so hard, and we were like, why did you leave the building? Like, it was the funniest thing in the entire world, man. We were laughing for days about that, but it just little hiccups and stories along the way, which is awesome, and you'll have them too. But anyway, so I think that's it for this episode. We'll keep it short and sweet, and so we'll come up with some more ideas. If you guys have any ideas or thoughts, shoot us some ideas, even some guests you guys want us to bring. We actually found a facility down in Charlotte that we'll kind of host. We'll host a podcast down there. We'll have some guests, some different chefs, some restaurateurs, some different owners of some bakeries, things like that. How they started with their company. And so, we'll see where this goes. We'll see where the podcast goes. I'm excited about, seeing the development and getting you guys, more acclimated and, learn more about what we do at APS. And so, anyway, I think that's it. Any parting thoughts, co-host? We're all good?
All good.
Sounds good. All right. You guys have an absolutely fantastic evening. Good chatting with you guys. And we will see you on episode 3 of Paper Trails. So you guys have an awesome evening. Over and out.